didn't set out to become an English teacher at all. I was involved in a lot of theater in college, and I was involved in all things humanity. When I went to grad school, I decided to go in English and further my studies there, and maybe do a little more theater. And I was approached by a new program that actually said I could get a teaching degree too, and I thought, great. And I did that, and I just fell in love with it. And I love my mentor, wonderful, wonderful teacher who really helped me with the craft of teaching, not just the content. And from there on, I've had various teaching jobs. I've taught in Pennsylvania, Connecticut. I've taught in Minnesota, lots of states, but mostly in Minnesota. But English teachers read, and they talk about reading and becoming a sophisticated reader, and they talk about what you can get from reading and what that does for you, but also what that does for the entire population. A reading population is an empathetic population. It's a population that can talk about nuance, and that's what's really important to me. Right now I'm reading Wolf Hall by Hilary Mantel, and it's kind of a hot bestseller about Henry VIII, and there's another one also that I want to read, and I'm really enjoying it. But as an English teacher, you don't have that much time to read, so that's my entertainment reading, and I do a lot of reading online, just informative reading. But what should kids read? I mean, they should be reading all the time. And that's one of the things I love about the middle school reading and writing workshop. The kids are reading for homework every night. In fact, if I had my wish, they'd be reading every night, not every other night, and I hope many of them are. I love teaching The Great Gatsby. I love, one of my favorite books to teach is Wuthering Heights. I like A Tale of Two Cities. I really love teaching the novel, and I can do almost any version of that. But I have all kinds of fancy diagrams or ways in which we can do that. We just finished Of Mice and Men in the 9th grade. It is an amazing book. The more I teach it, the more I find in it, and I think that excitement comes through with English. Or if you're pointing out really, really deep-rooted things within that text that kids didn't have any idea about, they get very excited. So we're talking about definitions of tragedy with that, and the modern anti-hero in 9th grade, and kids are really excited because they did the Odyssey, they did Macbeth, so they can trace that tragic arc and the different kinds of tragic hero. Book-related experiences. I've done what all English teachers do. I've traveled to England and kind of followed Shakespeare's steps and all that. That's really fun stuff to do. But reading travel books is fun if you're going somewhere. So one of the things you can do is informative reading, If you're going somewhere, read all about it. Read about what other people have written, not just nonfiction, but fiction. What have people, written about this particular city or this particular place? It adds a whole new dimension of traveling. So that's one fun thing to really do. I talked a little bit about making a more empathetic person, but the more you read, the more you realize that we live with our fellow human beings in this world, and the joy of that, and the sadness of that, and the triumph of that, or any of the emotions that we might feel, is reflected in books. And whether you're using e-reader or traditional text or whatever, it doesn't really matter, because novelists and also nonfiction writers have this ability to capture human beings at their best and at their worst. And for us to create that understanding of ourselves, I think, is crucial for an empathetic society, but also for personally. It's not just to make you a good citizen, it is to be personally gratifying as well. You will never be bored if you're a good reader. You will never be bored. And I would translate that to movies too. I mean, one of the reasons we teach the film narrative course is to show the film as a text. And films do exactly the same thing. I mean, they add other components, visual components, and that sort of thing, but they do absolutely the same thing. They show us humanity in all its flavors and all its nuance and all its ways of being. And the more we can see that, the more we can do that cross-culturally, the more we can do that in ways that are not familiar to us. Books open all those worlds to us, and it is nothing but enriching. So to become a sophisticated interpretive reader is really the goal.